history's made and dreams do come true on a triple golden day for Team GB. Adam Peaty becomes the first British swimmer to defend an Olympic title. And fourth-time lucky Tom Daley finally gets his gold.
I genuinely still cannot believe that it actually just happened. It's been a dream of mine for so many years.
Also on the programme tonight, guilty of murder, two 13-year-old boys who stabbed 14-year-old Ollie Stevens. A father's anguish as he sees his family drown, adding to a grim total on Britain's waterways. And super nan, super fan, Adam Peaty's most devoted supporter.
When they said double Olympic champion, I just burst into tears. I was so proud.
This is the ITV Evening News with Mary Nightingale.
Good evening. Great Britain's Olympic Challenge has exploded into life with gold medals in swimming, diving and mountain biking. Adam Peaty cruised to victory in the 100 metres breaststroke, a distance he hasn't lost at for more than 7 years. Tom Pidcock raced clear in the mountain bike cross-country just 2 months after he broke his collarbone. But perhaps the most cherished win was for Tom Daley and his diving partner, Matty Lee. It was gold for Daley at his 4th attempt. From Tokyo, here's our sports editor, Steve Scott.
Surely now you can add Adam Peaty to the old saying that life's only certainties are death and taxes. As in Rio, he grabbed Team GB's first gold and becomes the first British athlete to defend an Olympic swimming title. There was never any danger of him surrendering his extraordinary 7-year-long winning streak. From start to finish, Peaty was typically dominant, unstoppable, unbeatable, a phenomenon in the pool.
Double Olympic champion!
His only regret, those closest to him weren't there to watch.
Nothing will match the vibration and the energy you get from a full house. I wish my family were here so they could experience this moment with me. But I guess we're going to have to wait till 2024 now. So.
Come on, Adam!
At his former swimming club in Derby, they were up early, as were parents Mark and Caroline, who were watching the drama unfold at home.
Nervous, well, that's not even the word. I was just so tense, I really was. Mark was really quiet, which is very unusual for Mark, because normally he's shouting and waving and swimming the race with him.
Tom Daley has dreamt of gold since his first Olympic dive as a 14-year-old in Beijing 13 years ago. Today, the long wait ended. Near perfection with partner Matty Lee, followed by an agonising wait for the scores of the only pair that could catch them, the Chinese.
Where are the scores?
Monday mornings suddenly didn't seem so bad after all.
To see us become Olympic champions I genuinely still cannot believe that it actually just happened. It's been a dream of mine for so many years, and I am extremely thankful to everyone that has made it possible.
He knows what he has to do now.
Next to top the podium, Tom Pidcock in the men's cross-country. An exceptional all-round cyclist, as at home flying through the trees on a mountain bike as he is on the road. He had surgery on a broken collarbone last month and was back in the saddle after 6 days. You don't become an Olympic champion without a granite-like determination.
I've kind of had the bad luck out of the way in the past couple of months, and now everything aligns on the right day. So, yeah, I mean, I don't really care about what happened before now. Don't care about this, big scar here.
Sensational days like today do not come around very often. 3 golds and 2 silvers have propelled Team GB up the medal table. But more importantly, they've provided a feel-good factor in the camp and lasting memories for millions watching at home. Steve Scott, ITV News, Tokyo.
Well, Tom Daley's spectacular win is all the sweeter because of the struggles he's been through to achieve it. It's been his dream since the age of 7, and his emotional reaction to finally getting gold showed just how much it means to him. Rupert Evelyn reports on Tom's magic moment.
Finally on the highest podium in his sport, a moment that seemingly captured a lifetime of emotions, the highs and lows of an athletic career wrapped up in a gold. Tom Daley has been in the spotlight since he was a teenager. He downplayed it before the Beijing Olympics, but medals were always the goal.
I won't be disappointed because I wasn't expecting any medals. If I go there and do a good performance is what I'm aiming for, and if I get a medal, then that's a bonus, but I'm not expecting it.
It wasn't to be in China, and as his father Rob explained back then, his pride in his son's achievement was undiminished.
He's an Olympian, 14 years old. I didn't really expect a medal. I mean, although he wasn't a wild card, he hasn't had the best day, but I'm not disappointed, no.
Sadly, Rob died 10 years ago. How he would have beamed with pride today.
Well, my dad was my biggest cheerleader. He took me to every single training session. He came to every single competition that he could, whether that was domestic or international. And when he passed away in 2011, it was extremely difficult for me because he wasn't going to watch me. Well, he never saw me win an Olympic medal.
But watching his win today, his mother, his husband Lance, and their 3-year-old son.
Oh my God!
Tom Daley was introduced to diving age 7 in Plymouth. Sally Freeman trains divers here and has witnessed his journey.
So yeah, it was a mixture of relief, but overwhelming just pride, because it's what we'd hoped for him from a youngster, and he finally did it. And you could see from his reaction immediately afterwards, he was overcome, he didn't know what to do, you know, and it's the same for everyone here.
Fulfilling a lifelong dream, at last, the pinnacle of his career is reached. Rupert Evelyn, ITV News, Plymouth.
So this is how the medals table stands after today's results. Along with the golds, there were 2 more silver medals from Lauren Williams in Taekwondo and Alex Yee in the triathlon. And Japan is on top with 8 golds. Team GB is currently in 5th place. Well, let's move on from Olympic news now. And 2 14-year-old boys have been found guilty of murdering 13-year-old Ollie Stevens after luring him to a park in Reading. A court heard the victim was ambushed and stabbed to death by the teenagers who'd held a grudge against him. Sangeeta Lal is in Reading tonight. Now, Sangeeta, this is really a appalling, shocking case, isn't it?
It really is, Mary. The court heard how earlier this year Ollie had been lured into a meeting at the park. He thought he was meeting a girl, but actually it was a trap. Once he got there, he was ambushed by a group of children who he'd fallen out with on social media, and during that ambush there was a fight and he was stabbed twice, once in the chest and once in the back. After that happened, the children fled the scene, but he was left in a critical condition, and even though witnesses tried to help as much as they could, when emergency crews arrived, Ollie died in the back of the ambulance. Now, during this trial, the jury were also shown CCTV footage of the moments leading up to that attack, when Ollie left his home just a few hundred metres from the park when he was supposed to be meeting a girl, according to him, and messaging on his phone. Now, the girl who took part in the plan had already pleaded guilty to manslaughter, and the boys pleaded not guilty to murder. They can't be named because of legal reasons, but it took the jury 3 days to find the boys guilty of murder. The family of Ollie today said it is a sad day. So many families have been devastated by this callous and cold-hearted act. Knife crime needs to stop now. All of them will be sentenced later this year in September.
Terrible case indeed. Sangeeta Lal in Reading, thank you. Now, the number of new coronavirus infections has fallen for the 6th day in a row right across the UK, prompting hopes the easing of measures isn't producing a surge in cases. It's also the lowest daily figure for 3 weeks, and our health editor Emily Morgan is here. Emily, talk to us about these figures and what they actually mean. What might be behind the drop?
Well, there's been another drop, so
It's really good news, and I think you can see just how much good news there is by looking at this graph. So you can see there was a real surge at the end of June and the beginning of July, and that is really beginning to significantly drop off now. So 24,950 cases were recorded today. That means the 7-day average is down to just over 36,000, and that's a drop of 21.5% on the last week. Now, what I think is pretty significant about this drop is that we've never actually seen such a steep decline without a lockdown. And scientists are pointing to various factors but have no real answers for us. So some contributing factors are the fact that there was a real surge during the Euros. That was like a wave within a wave, if you like, and that is now beginning to drop off. Other things playing into it are schools having broken up, so there's less testing, the vaccine immunity really kicking in now, and of course we're all spending much more time outside. I think what will be really interesting, though, is the next couple of weeks. That is when we'll see the real effect of restrictions having lifted last week. So we're likely to see an uptick in cases, but it will be from a much lower base.
OK, Emily Morgan, thank you very much. ITV News understands more workers will soon be eligible for exemption from COVID self-isolation. An extra 1,200 key businesses, including prisons, defence, refuse collection and some veterinary and telecoms organisations, are expected to be added to the scheme. Workers will be allowed to take tests to release them from the need to isolate. Theatres and concert halls will reopen in Northern Ireland as part of the latest relaxations there of coronavirus rules. Ministers have also raised the number of people allowed to meet indoors from 6 to 10. That's coming up to 3 households. And the changes are due to come into effect tomorrow at 6 p.m. Now, a man whose wife and son drowned in Loch Lomond over the weekend has described how he desperately tried to save them. Waris Ali said he threw his shirt to his wife Adina to hold on to, but she couldn't catch it. She and their 9-year-old son died along with a family friend there. As Hannah Miller reports, 34 people have drowned in UK waterways in the past 2 weeks.
They were basking in the last hours of their holiday, 2 families who'd stopped off to enjoy the sun. But at Loch Lomond, this happiness turned to horror when 9-year-old Rana Harris Ali and his friend discovered the water was deeper than they'd thought.
Everybody thinking this is maybe a safe place, but when you do first your feet inside, that's deep water.
Faris's wife Adina Olahova jumped in to try to save their son, who'd just celebrated his 9th birthday. But both were pronounced dead at the scene, along with their friend Mohammed Azim Riaz. A 7-year-old boy who was also in the water is fighting for his life in hospital. Today, a family friend told us what happened should be a warning to everyone.
Do care of your kids and families, It's an unfortunate incident, it can happen with anyone,
The tragedy here happened on what's been described as one of the worst weekends in this national park's history. 6 people have died in Scotland's waters in recent days. Across the UK, more than 30 people have drowned in the past 2 weeks. Life-saving charities say the lifting of lockdown is a factor.
People aren't able to go away on holiday to the places that they might have expected to be able to go to. And, people have been looking for any way that they can get out and enjoy themselves.
For those who seek to cool off in the British summer sun, this weekend's event's a reminder not to fall victim to the dangers that lie even in our most picturesque beauty spots.
Hannah Miller reporting there. Well, still to come on the ITV Evening News. As British troops leave Afghanistan, a new series on the men whose lives were changed by the war.
Some people thought it was going to be a real sort of summer vacation, the beach where the tide never comes in, and the other camp was, no, this is Afghanistan. People fight in Afghanistan.
And Adam Peaty's nan on the texts he sent her from Tokyo. Those stories and more after the break. Join me then. Welcome back. Now, the disastrous legacy of the Afghanistan conflict shows no sign of ending, even with the withdrawal of international troops. The UN says record numbers of civilians are being killed or injured by the Taliban. Now, when UK troops were first sent to Sangin province in 2006, they were hoping to win hearts and minds there. But it quickly turned into a brutal battle for survival. Back then, ITV News filmed C Company 3 Para at the start of their mission as they posed for a group picture. In the first part of our news series, Afghanistan, Photo from the Front Line, Paul Davis heard from some of them about their experiences.
OK, 3, 2, 1.
Posing for a souvenir snapshot of what they thought would be their Afghan adventure. C Company 3 Para, the first British forces sent into southern Afghanistan in September 2006. Smiling faces and banter, many had been looking forward to the mission. Nick Quinton, who'd volunteered to be a part of it, says most had no idea what they were getting into.
Some people thought it was going to be a real sort of summer vacation, the beach where the tide never comes in, and the other camp was, no, this is Afghanistan. People fight in Afghanistan. It's a warrior nation.
The reality turned out to be worse than the direst warning. The Taliban proved a ferocious enemy. In Helmand province, the Paras found themselves under constant attack and suffered losses. Evan Davis, pictured here, remembers the day his Afghan war changed. He'd been sent with medics to collect survivors of a patrol that had been ambushed.
One of the first casualties that really caught my eye coming onto the back of the chopper was an artillery sergeant major covered in blood. And a few seconds later, I realised that he only had one arm and one was missing from sort of here. And it was that moment, that shock really hit me. And that's when I realised that, I'm in an actual war zone now. This isn't playing about. There's no games here. People are getting seriously hurt, and there's going to be risks everywhere.
Richard Spence, platoon sergeant on the front row of the photograph, was wounded and saw comrades and friends killed. He says Afghanistan changed him, as it did many who served with him.
Do I reflect on some of the things that happened during that tour? Yes, I do, on a frequent basis. Do you ever feel guilt? Do you ever feel regret? Do you ever feel pride and a sense of duty? All those things at exactly the same time. Did the tour change me and make me a different person? Yes, it did, unquestionably.
Ewan Goodman took that souvenir photograph. He also says the experience shaped him. He doesn't regret going, but long ago he reached this conclusion.
We shouldn't have been there, and we haven't learned a lot from history, and we went into conflict ill-prepared to deal with the mess that we were going to create. Yeah, so that wasn't worth it.
They may have started with good intentions back then, but if the aim was to restore order to a land that through the ages has refused to be tamed, then this chapter in British military history has finally ended, like others before it, with tragic losses and mission objective not accomplished. Paul Davis, ITV News.
And you can read more stories linked to that image of C Company on our website. Head to itv.com/photo from the front line. Now here, Bristol Rovers manager Joey Barton has pleaded not guilty to assaulting his wife. The former Premier League footballer is accused of attacking her at a home in south-west London last month. And Sejal Karia is outside Wimbledon Magistrates Court where the case was heard. So Sejal, what was said there today?
Yes, as you say, Mr. Barton is accused of attacking his wife, Georgia. It's alleged that he grabbed her by the throat and kicked her in the head at a house in Kew in southwest London on the 2nd of June this year. He denies the allegation and says there was no assault. He appeared here via video link wearing a black T-shirt and shorts and spoke only to confirm his name, address and date of birth. Joey Barton, of course, is a former midfielder who played for teams such as Manchester City and Newcastle, joining Bristol Rovers as a manager earlier this year. The club says they won't be making any comment because legal proceedings are ongoing, and Mr Barton has been released on unconditional bail until his trial on the 16th of December.
OK, Sejal, thank you. A hospital in North East London has been forced to evacuate patients and cancel operations after heavy rainfall caused it to lose power. Around 100 patients were moved from Whipps Cross Hospital after a major incident was declared. And finally tonight, with the families of Olympic athletes unable to share the special moments in Tokyo, they're doing all they can to cheer them on from home. None more so than Adam Peaty's nan, Mavis. She was the unexpected star of the Rio Games when he won his first ever gold, earning her the title Olympic Nan. Mavis told Ben Chapman about the thrill of him winning all over again.
The absence of friends and family in Tokyo didn't stop Adam Peaty from winning gold. But then he knew that from her small bungalow back home in Staffordshire, one of his oldest and most famous fans would be cheering him on.
I had a text before he went. Wish you were in the stands. I'm filling up now. It just made a lump come in my throat, you know. Are you proud?
It's 5 years since Mavis earned herself the hashtag Olympic Nan, becoming almost as famous as her grandson when he won gold in Rio. Following a fall, these Olympics are a little more low-key. She chose to watch his race last night at home on her own.
I got up at 2. I made a drink of tea, and then it was time when he came on. My stomach went all over, and when he got on the blocks and going to go in, I closed my eyes, I daren't look.
But less than a minute later, it was worth opening them again.
When they said double Olympic champion, I just burst into tears. I was so proud. And why I cried, I just don't know. So I phoned my daughter and she says, make yourself a cup of tea, put a tot of whiskey in and go to bed. Well, I didn't do that. I didn't have the whiskey. I had a cup of tea and that was it.
With such a successful grandson and the chance of another gold in the relay, it might not be a bad idea to pace herself. Ben Chapman, ITV News, Uttoxeter.
There you go, the Olympic Nan, Mavis, brilliant. That's all for now. Tom's here with news at 10 from me and all the team here. Bye-bye.